Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Mallard Grodner Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. lawmg.com. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. The GOP had a big night in Indiana this week. President Trump easily captured the state's 11 electoral votes, and the governor is on his way to a second term.
And especially in a year like 2020, ain't it good to be a Hoosier?
Coming up, we'll recap the big statewide and federal races. Coronavirus infections continue to increase in the state, and hospitalizations set a new record this week.
What we hear consistently is that their biggest challenge is having enough staffing.
Around 200 members of the Indiana National Guard are getting ready to be deployed to long-term care facilities across the state to combat COVID-19. We'll have more coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk.
Those stories, plus the latest news coverage from across the state, right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. Well, we're going to get to the results of this week's election, what issues drove voter turnout, and what the GOP wave in Indiana means as we look ahead to the 2021 session. But our first other big story, the state continues to move in the wrong direction with new coronavirus infections. Daily COVID-19 infections are rising in all but 3 states. In the Midwest, the virus resurgence is particularly pronounced. Indiana reported record high new daily infections and hospitalizations this week. But as Pat Bean reports, the governor says he has no plans of imposing any more COVID-19 restrictions.
Governor Eric Holcomb dispelled rumors this week that the state was going to shut down again after the election.
We've seen some language out there that talks about how today we're going to announce that we're shutting the state down. False, 100%. No truth to that whatsoever.
That includes no changes to the state's economy and no statewide closure of schools. Holcomb says local health officials should address virus spread at the county level, and he continues to stress the need for personal responsibility.
If we put this little inexpensive piece of cloth and prevent the airborne transmission of this virus, we will be able to collectively, for the common good, individual by individual, slow the spread.
74 of Indiana's 92 counties are designated as high-risk locations for coronavirus spread. Hospitalizations are hovering around 1,900, and the state's health commissioner says it's straining the state's hospital systems.
What we hear consistently is that their biggest challenge is having enough staffing. Some hospitals have already needed to rearrange their elective surgical procedures to accommodate their staffing needs.
Indiana has seen a more than 200% increase in the number of new COVID-19 cases in the last month. The number of daily deaths is also nearly double from a month ago. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Pat Bean.
Like the state as a whole, schools are also reporting more COVID-19 cases. The total number of COVID-19 cases reported in schools is more than 6,000. And not all schools report their COVID-19 data to the state, but school leaders throughout Indiana are struggling to plan and keep buildings open as the virus causes more students and staff to quarantine. Many have said they are running low on teachers and substitutes to fill in for them. Several school corporations have temporarily gone back to remote learning with plans to reevaluate their status after 2 weeks. Well, the Indiana National Guard regularly responds to provide aid in emergency situations, but their newest mission is unlike any one they've had before. Thousands of National Guard troops are reporting to Indiana nursing homes. These facilities and their residents are under threat from COVID-19. Conditions improved over the summer, but as Brock Turner reports, cases among the most vulnerable Hoosiers are surging again.
Last week, 400 troops reported to Camp Atterbury in south central Indiana to get their orders. The Indiana National Guard has been helping with the state's pandemic response since March. They've worked at food banks, distributed supplies, and helped increase testing capacity. But this mission is different. Guard members are being sent to 135 nursing homes across the state, with more to come.
We started to recognize the data that was showing this upward trend about 3 weeks ago. And so we started to put the strategy together in that week that has now led to the actual dispatch.
The tasks they'll complete are still largely unclear and undefined. Guardsmen at the training were told to prepare for the unexpected and that their tasks at each facility would vary. The Indiana State Department of Health declined an interview, but provided a brief statement on the goals of the deployment. The state's chief medical officer says a survey completed last month shows cases in long-term care facilities were surging. That's after seeming to level off over the summer.
Through this effort, we identified several themes where long-term care facilities could use additional support. Number one was staffing. Of all the additional measures that must be in place to protect residents from COVID does require extra time from our staff. Staff members have to isolate or quarantine because of community exposures, and all of these things have brought additional stress to those on the front line.
Guardsmen won't be caring for patients, but they will be lessening the workload for nurses and other long-term care facility workers by handling some of the administrative duties. The president of the Indiana Healthcare Association penned an op-ed back in March identifying staffing challenges. When the state announced they were sending the National Guard in, it was the first many had heard of the move. But Cattell insists that's not a bad thing.
I think it's also a matter of when other deployments end and that capacity for available Guard members comes around.
Sure.
I think clearly we see the cases rising across the state, and as we've continued to communicate, the exhaustion of our staff is real. And so I'm glad that all of that aligned at this point, but I wouldn't equate advance notice to a negative or positive experience.
Yet for the majority of caregivers, policy decisions like these are misaligned. Mary Charlson is a primary caregiver for her mother, Mary Catherine, who's a resident at Ben-Hur Nursing Home in Crawfordsville. She wasn't aware of the National Guard deployment, but wishes more time and resources would be allocated to helping families return to their loved ones.
If the National Guard knows what to wear and to come in to protect, why can't we wear their stuff and just come in and see our loved ones instead?
The Indiana State Department of Health continues to reiterate that visitors like Charlson haven't contributed to outbreaks.
When there's an outbreak in a facility, often it starts with the staff, and several of the staff members spread it to each other, and then of course, ultimately it could end up spreading in the residents.
Facilities are products of their communities. As cases surge like they have been across Indiana, infections in long-term care facilities should be expected to rise. Cattell says they're stuck in the middle and have to manage competing interests.
This is a really difficult issue. The long-term care facilities are communities. They are supposed to be home-like environments. Skilled nursing facilities and nursing facilities as regulated by the federal law, that language, home-like environment, is part of our regulatory structure. And so this push-pull between really good infection control and public health guardrails, but allowing what used to occur, which is relative unfettered access for visitation, are difficult to reconcile.
Charlson was visiting her mom 3 times a day before the pandemic. With the facility only being 3 miles from her home, it was easy to run over between her school bus routes.
I'll never forget the day that they told me, if you leave now, this is your last visit. You don't get to come back. So I turned around and went back in and stayed even longer. And knowing that I always had to just be my mom's rock.
Charlson doesn't blame the facility and understands why infection protocols are in place. Yet she struggles to understand why more isn't being done to enhance the quality of life of seniors like her mom. In-person, socially distanced visits resumed briefly after the facility's outbreak, but now, because of new active COVID-19 cases, it's been shuttered again.
And my mom reaches out with opened arms, wanting a hug. And they say it's to protect the residents, but to protect the residents from what? What's next in their life? Where are they really going after they leave the nursing home? They're protecting them from loved ones, from our hugs.
Regardless of the barriers in place, she says she's not going to stop visiting her mom. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Brock Turner.
Well, the company that partnered with General Motors to manufacture ventilators in Kokomo is winding down production. Ventec reopened the old GM Components Holdings plant and hired on about 800 employees to make 30,000 ventilators for hospitals in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Ventec CEO says the demand for ventilators is weakening, so the company plans to stop production at the end of the month. A measure of farmers' optimism hit its highest levels last month since the survey began. The new record for the Ag Economy Barometer reflects a number of positive changes that have taken place recently in the agriculture industry. The October responses show the barometer fully rebounding and surpassing the previous record. That record was set in February, just before the COVID-19 pandemic spurred stay-at-home orders and challenges in the supply chains for the ag industry. A rally in corn and soybean prices, expected record yields, additional federal aid, and increased exports to China are credited for improving farmers' outlook. Well, the city of Bloomington still has some money available for businesses seeking loans during the pandemic. Local restaurants and businesses that promote tourism are eligible for the financial help. The city established the Rapid Relief Fund in April with money from the Food and Beverage Tax Fund and the Bloomington Urban Enterprise Association. There's still about $700,000 available. The money is available until at least December 1st.
So the deadline is tied to the executive orders, and because the executive orders go month by month, we can't technically promise that the fund will be available beyond December 1st.
Cuppersmith says businesses that plan to apply should do so this month in order to have a better chance of receiving money. So far, 62 local businesses have gotten assistance through the fund. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. Our other big story this week, Indiana went from red to deep red. What does that mean for the upcoming legislative session, and are Democrats even relevant? And a local artist is following his passion and hoping to help a good cause in the process. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk. WTIU Television and WFIU Radio make up the largest public news bureau, bringing you stories and information you need about your community and our state. Consistently recognized as one of the best news sources in Indiana, we strive to provide in-depth coverage to help you stay safe, informed, and understand the world around you. Join us on Indiana Newsdesk, your source for the latest in-depth local and state news.
Welcome to the Amanpour on PBS. I'm Christiane Amanpour in London, giving you the global view. I've covered the world for nearly 3 decades, and I'm dedicated to bringing you all the facts. Please join me for conversations with newsmakers, world leaders.
Good to be with you, Christiane.
Artists and writers, the people who define, change, and challenge our world. That's Amanpour on PBS.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. While many national pollsters and pundits predicted a Democratic blue wave this election cycle, Indiana actually got redder, with the state GOP expanding its supermajority in the state legislature and maintaining control of the Attorney General's office. Reporter Mitch Legan gives us a recap of Tuesday's elections and how it sets the stage for the upcoming legislative session.
And we are going to win 4 more years in that beautiful White House.
The 2020 election was already shaping up to be a barn burner, even before the coronavirus. But when the pandemic hit the U.S. in March, every facet of Americans' lives changed, including the election.
Very quick. I'll tell you the truth, all these people that thought they were being so smart to go out and vote early, and they stayed in line for hours, I think I was smarter than them.
The pandemic led to more early voting than ever before. Massive numbers of mail-in ballots delayed the outcome of the presidential race. But the picture in Indiana is much clearer.
And especially in a year like 2020, ain't it good to be a Hoosier?
Governor Eric Holcomb easily won re-election for a second full term, defeating Dr. Woody Myers, a Democrat, and Libertarian Donald Rainwater. Rainwater smashed the state's record for most votes received by a third-party candidate after campaigning that Holcomb had overstepped his constitutional authority in responding to the pandemic.
The one thing that we do know is that the Constitution is there to protect our individual liberties and make those choices for ourselves.
The question for me now is, they've had ballot access for a while, they've shown legitimacy by being on the ballot in a lot of places. Can they capitalize on this sort of showing to develop the resources necessary to make them a viable option in 2022 when we see the next round of elections?
In the state's 9th congressional district, which stretches from Bloomington to the Louisville border, incumbent Republican Representative Trey Hollingsworth also cruised to re-election. In an interview with WTIU News last month, he said the economy was the most important thing to 9th District voters, and outside of Bloomington, many didn't agree with Democrat Andy Ruff's progressive policies.
We've been able to create a little over 10.5 million jobs. We lost 20 million since February, so we're over halfway back. But for so many Hoosiers who are out of work, for so many Hoosiers that feel like their business is not where it needs to be, where it was, I want to make sure that we continue this robust economic recovery and get to those better outcomes as quickly as possible. That's first and foremost.
Republicans actually managed to expand their vice grip on the state General Assembly, dropping a single seat in the Senate, but adding to their House majority.
A strong race by Christina Hale in the 5th District, and Jonathan Weinsappel actually running a strong race as far as Attorney General is concerned. There was reason to think that maybe the Democrats would not get out of the super minority, but pick up a seat or two.
Since 2012, Republicans have maintained a supermajority in the General Assembly. Theoretically, such a setup could mean they have the green light to go hard after conservative priorities. But Downs says former House Speaker Brian Bosma established a moderate pace for getting GOP priorities done, which has helped the Republican Party maintain its dominance.
They could have just flushed everything in right away. That might have actually upset things enough that Democrats would have been able to win some seats back. So now what we have is nearly a decade of Republicans getting pretty much everything they want done, and we're going to see that for at least 2 more years now.
Downs expects Republicans to follow Holcomb's lead on prioritizing economic and workforce development, and, of course, the biennial state budget. And because 2021 comes after a census year, they'll be in charge of redrawing the state's election districts, which they also did in 2010.
One argument would be leave everything exactly the way it is, only make the small modifications that are necessary to have balanced population. But they also may decide to do a few other things. They may decide to look at where are growth patterns.
In Bloomington, after another exhausting campaign cycle, the nonpartisan nonprofit group Braver Angels is working to move past the intense polarization they say has taken over the country's politics. They're hosting a virtual workshop next week on skills for bridging the divide between Democrats and Republicans.
This, I believe, is the #1 problem in our country, because if we can't actually sit down and talk with each other, how can we come up with solutions? How can we solve the problems of our communities without being able to talk to each other?
We won't have official voter turnout data from the state until at least next Friday. According to an expansive Associated Press survey, the #1 issue that drove Hoosiers to the polls this year was, unsurprisingly, the coronavirus, followed by the economy and then healthcare. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Mitch Legan.
Well, how Vigo County goes, the nation goes. The county has earned that reputation because since the 1950s, Vigo County has correctly picked the President of the United States. Well, Max Jones has been working in Terre Haute for 35 years. He and a reporter discovered the streak by accident several years ago when they were doing research for election stories. Max joins us now from Terre Haute to talk more about the county's bellwether status and this week's wild presidential election. Max, thank you so much for being on the show here. You know, we should start by saying it could be weeks, though, before we know the winner of the presidential election. But Vigo County could be a crystal ball of sorts. So tell us, what did voters say there this week?
Well, they certainly weren't very ambiguous about how they were choosing this election. Vigo County went strongly for President Trump in this election, like they did 4 years ago in 2016. It was a little over 56% of the vote to Joe Biden's about 42%. So it was a very similar margin as it was 4 years ago. So it was pretty clear what the choice was in Vigo County.
And results show Americans are incredibly divided. more so than I think people realized. Is that true there in Vigo County as well?
Well, given the results that we just saw this week, there certainly is a division here. I think there is in every community, but it's not a very close division at this point. When you see the kind of spread that we saw in the presidential race, was echoed really down ballot in terms of Vigo County moving more quickly toward the Republican side. There doesn't seem to be quite the division that perhaps there used to be, as Democrats have really lost ground.
You know, turnout nationally is expected to shatter century-old records. Did Vigo County experience record turnout there too?
Well, actually, it did not. Vigo County is in recent years been showing up very bottom of the list in the state in terms of voter turnout. Even though during the first Obama year in 2008, the county showed extremely high turnout. Since then, it's really been a downward slide. It looks like we're probably in the area of 50% voter turnout again this year, although we won't know the final total. But it looks like it's about that, very similar to what it was in 2016, but up a little bit from 2018.
You know, if the county's bellwether streak ends, do you think that says anything about changing views or demographics there in Terre Haute?
Well, it certainly does. I think they're probably, you have to look at this bellwether streak for what it was. Two of the elections in the last 20 years that were settled and Vigo County kept its streak going, it still did not vote with the majority of the American people. The only reason the streak continued was because of the quirks of the Electoral College. So you have to keep that in mind, I think, when you think about what it was that Vigo County was representing. And even though there's people here that dispute this, there was a certain amount of luck, and especially in the last 20 years, that kept this streak going. So, it's certainly getting a more and more conservative county. It used to be reliably Democrat, or at least it had an independent streak, and that definitely seems to be going away here.
All right, Max, I know you're very busy. Really appreciate your time with us today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, voters in southern Indiana's Owen County elected 2 new commissioners. Dale DuBois will represent the 3rd District and Bob Curry will represent the 2nd. And you may remember the commission approved an intensely unpopular ordinance last year that prohibits anyone from using the county courthouse for a special event. Residents and business owners from around the area opposed the ordinance, saying it was discriminatory in intent and would hurt businesses on the town square. Neither DuBois nor Curry would agree to an on-camera interview. They both said they didn't know much about the festival ordinance and didn't mention any plans to change it. Well, your picture could hang inside one of Bloomington's iconic restaurants, all while helping a good cause. Adam Pinsker reports.
Bloomington artist Adam Long says the first time he picked up a paintbrush was just 2 years ago, but looking at his work, you'd never know it.
This is a new thing for me, and I've recently finished my 57th public mural in 2 years since I picked up a paintbrush.
And his 58th public mural will hang on this wall inside Buffalo's in the historic Gables building. Long says you can bid to have your face painted on the body of a superhero or star athlete.
Each space that will be available will be $100 starting point, and hopefully we want to raise as much money as possible.
There are 70 spots up for bid, and the money raised will benefit charity.
Half the proceeds are going to go to the Boys and Girls Club, which is an organization that my wife and I are very supportive of.
Buffalo's owner Ed Schwartzman says he's always wanted to put a mural inside or outside his restaurant, so he teamed up with Long to make it happen.
Something like this is just another thing that we want to do to be part of the community. Our staff loves, getting involved, rolling up their sleeves, volunteering.
And for Long, it's a chance to give back to the community as he left his full-time job selling items on eBay to pursue his artistic passion.
I didn't really feel like I was having any contact or making an impact on anyone other than myself. So I quit what I was doing when I realized I enjoyed this.
People who want to see themselves as part of the mural can learn more and sign up through Buffalo's Facebook page. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Adam Pinsker.
The auction runs through November 16th. Well, politics is playing an increasingly large role in the dating scene. The latest Match.com survey, done in collaboration with Indiana University's Kinsey Institute, shows nearly 3/4 of singles want their partners to share their political beliefs.
And I think that's because politics, at least at the moment, it's become so divisive, but also dealing with issues that are, it's being used as a proxy for morality.
This year's survey also shows the coronavirus pandemic is changing the way people date. In the study, 63% of active app daters say they're taking more time to get to know potential partners. They're using things such as video chat before deciding whether to meet in person. Well, the Indiana football team has reached heights not seen in more than 3 decades, but if they want to stay there, the Hoosiers will have to win against Michigan Saturday. But that's a team they haven't beaten in their 25 tries. The last time the Hoosiers were a top 15 team was in 1988, but they lost the next game at Michigan, beginning the streak of futility. That's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Mallard Grodner Attorneys providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. LawMG.com. IU Alumni Association connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. Alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. Rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.